Hello, everyone. We're going to be starting in a couple of minutes, so if you could make your way over to the seats, if you could make your way over to the seating area, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, I'm coming.
Good morning, everybody. If we could get everyone to start making their ways over to the seating area, we'd appreciate it. I'm going to give you plenty of time to connect with all of our procurement partners. Right now, if I can get everyone to come over to the seats, thank you. Thank you very much. Everyone hear me okay? You guys can hear in the back? Good, perfect. Thank you guys for coming out today. This is Ready, Set, Grow. This is our Procurement Connections workshop. My name is Eduardo Hayden. I'm the Small Business Outreach Manager with the Governor's Office for Small, Minority, and Women Business Affairs. If you have not come to one of these events, you're in for a treat. What we do with this event is we bring out various state procurement agencies as well as some local, depending on the area that we're in, so that you guys can actually connect with those individuals about opportunities. So this is an access to opportunity, and it's a connections workshop. It's meant for you to connect over those kind of things. So I want to thank everybody for coming. I know traffic was crazy for all of us to get here, so I do appreciate that you made the trip, for your valuable time, and that you chose to spend it here with us today. So thank you very much for that. What I want to do real quick before we get started, I want to just acknowledge the partners that we worked with in order to make this possible. First of all, the Office of the County Executive here in Montgomery County, Mr. Mark Ulrich's office, their Business Solutions Group helped us out, put everything together, as well as Silver Spring Civic Center, the staff here from Mindy Williams and everybody else. So thank you very much for that. We just give them a round of applause, yes. They did a great job. Without them, this would not have been possible, so thank you for that. Real quick, I'm going to go over some couple of just housekeeping type things before we move forward. When you came in today, hopefully everyone picked up a survey. It's just a paper, a few questions. Very important that you hand that back in to us, as many of them as possible. This information does not get lost. It gets processed, goes into the system. Nice dashboard is put together for the governor, and so he gets to see the responses that we're getting from the people when we go out and do these kinds of events. So it's very important for us that you tell us what you think, good, bad, or indifferent, so that it helps us do better every time that we go out. So please fill out the survey if you can. The slide deck, the slide presentation that we're going to have today will be sent out to everyone that's here. So make sure that you signed in or you checked in. If your name was on the list when you came in, that means we have your email. If for some reason you did not sign in or register that manner, make sure you leave your first, last name, and your email. And then this presentation will be sent out within the next day or so, okay? So I know you take notes of anything you want, but just remember you're going to get this entire presentation, all right? Facilities, if you need to utilize the restrooms, out the back door, just come around, and they're right here towards the top end here. So just go around down the hallway, okay? If you have the munchies, we have some good things for you guys to eat up out in the back, okay? So just make sure you do that. And then finally, goal, right? The goal for today, as the name mentions, it's a Procurement Connections workshop, so you want to connect. The whole purpose for being here is that you connect with the procurement partners we have here, for our resource partners, those who can provide you services, and then connect with each other, right? There's a lot of people here that maybe that's the next prime contractor you work with, or maybe it's the next subcontractor that you're going to work with. So please connect. If you do nothing else, connect with the people in the room today. That's the main purpose for why you're here, so that you have opportunities that you can pursue. Okay, with that, what I want to do real quick, as I mentioned, the County Executive's Office was kind enough to work with us. So what I want to do is I want to, at this time, bring up Jerome Fletcher, Assistant Chief Administrative Officer for the County Executive's Office. Unfortunately, the County Executive could not make it due to some scheduling issues. So I want to bring up Jerome real quick, and he's going to say a few words to welcome everyone.
Thank you, Eduardo, and good morning, everyone. On behalf of the County Executive, Mark Elrick, I want to thank you for being here. I I hate that we had to quiet everyone down to get into your seats, but I'm going to tell you, as I was sitting there, it was music to my ears to hear all the talking going on. There was some great conversations, and we know that everyone's excited about being able to have better opportunities for access to procurement opportunities. That is one of the executive's top priorities, is access to procurement opportunities. We as a county have a strong role, and we have a goal to make sure that we not only provide better opportunities, but we also want to reduce the barriers and challenges that you have in order to get to those opportunities. Some of it can be solved by technology, but a lot of it needs to be resolved in face-to-face conversations, the collision space that this sort of venue right here provides you, so that you can talk through wherever you are in your cycle of your business, wherever the procurement is in its cycle of execution. We have to make sure that we take advantage and partner, talk, and communicate. One of the efforts that the executive has done is to put our people on the field to be better able to connect with you. Our Business Connect team, composed of Daniel Caroma, Junie Stevenson, as well as Devance Walker, they have all been out in the community, whether it's in Germantown, whether it's in Silver Spring, or whether it's in East County. And we are actually opening up another Regional Service Center Business Connect location on February the 14th in Bethesda. This is important because we want to make sure that you have access to the training, the courses, the classes, the content, as well as the partners that we as a county lean on to make sure that we provide the best services possible. So from our standpoint, we want to ensure that everything that you have, you need. And if you don't have it, we would love to hear from you. Please make sure you reach out and know and understand that this administration cares about small, local business, minority business. We want to make sure that everyone has their fair shot, their seat at the table, and no one feels like they need to know someone or need to know more in order to get involved in making sure that everyone has a successful business here in this county. So once again, on his behalf, I want to thank you for coming. We appreciate your participation. We look forward to working more with you in the future. Now I want to introduce and bring up one of my colleagues, the Director of the Office of Procurement. His name is Ash Shetty. If you do not know anything about what he's done so far, he has come in with a great, fresh idea that government needs more time than not. Sometimes we get stuck in our same habits, and we are creatures of habit, but he has brought a fresh, new view to procurement. He has done several great things. I'm not going to tell you what they are. He probably will tell you himself. But we're glad to have him, and I'm glad to have him on part of our team. So please welcome Ash Shetty.
Thank you. Thanks, Jerome, and thank you all for being here. My name is Ash Shetty, and I am the Director of the Office of Procurement. Hopefully you can all hear me in the back. Okay, cool. I've only been with the county for about 9 months, and like Jerome said, I came from the outside. I didn't really work in government, but I think that is the genius of Mark Eldridge. He definitely worked really hard to assemble a team of a lot of unlikely characters. A lot of the ideas that I've brought and will continue to bring to this office are really designed to make the experience for not only the internal using departments, who I consider to be our internal stakeholders, but also the vendor community. The idea is to make the experience of working with us for both you and for our internal stakeholders that much more user-friendly. And so, I'm happy to be here, but I want to give you a sense of what you should be expecting from, if not Montgomery County government, then at least the Office of Procurement. And I'll do it by just telling you very quickly about our values. What I'm hoping that our office going forward conveys to you, what the Office of Procurement conveys to you, is a greater sense of collaboration. I've always felt that procurement sits in a very critical place in any organization, public or private, right? We sit in a place where we can look at each of the different internal departments and understand what their needs are, what they're looking for, what their constraints are. And then, at the same time, even as we fully understand the needs of the internal organization, we are sitting at a point where we're understanding what the vendors are doing, what the vendors' capabilities are, what their limitations are, what constraints they have. And if our office is not serving as that broker that is bringing the needs of the department to be met by the capabilities of the external vendor community, then we're leaving a huge opportunity in the air. So to that end, attached to this value and maybe some of the others that I'll talk about, I want to tell you about an exciting thing that we're doing on April 3rd. In this very building on April 3rd, we're going to be hosting our very first reverse trade show. What that means is, as opposed to you all coming and holding booths and coming to meet with, having us come and meet you, Montgomery County government is going to have everybody, whether it's environmental protection or transportation or general services or technology services, they're all going to be here holding booths, and I'm going to invite you to come and meet with them. So it's in the morning of April 3rd, that's a Friday, and it's going to be going on from about 8:30 to noon. Definitely please come, plan to attend. We're expecting as many as 500 people to be there, because as you can imagine, a lot of people are interested in meeting not with me, but with the folks that actually have the needs and that are doing the buying. The second value, and of course, if you have any questions about that event, please definitely reach out to us. We have a booth right over there. The second value that I want to talk to you about is this idea of transparency. When I first started this job, and even as Jerome hinted to, there's always this perception that government is opaque, that we're extremely bureaucratic, that we're not necessarily going to tell you what's going on. That is something that I think is unacceptable in light of the responsibility that we're faced with. My office manages $5 billion in public funds. That's over 2,600 contracts. And we owe it to you to understand what we are up to at any given point in time. So to that end, what you're going to find is that I have actually put my entire team through communications training. They've all been through a writing course, because I think one handicap is that they just don't know how to talk to you. They don't know how to communicate with you. It's not that they don't want to, it's that they can't. Thank you, I felt the same way about it. But another one of the innovations that I brought recently that I think you should take advantage of is my pizza tracker, or what is really the solicitation tracker. If at any point in time you Google the word solicitation tracker, what you will get is the Montgomery County solicitation tracker, because there is none other. And what this does is, like a pizza tracker, you tell it what you are looking for, and it will tell you the status of that particular solicitation. Any solicitation that we have out, if it's still open, it will tell you whether it's on time or if it's delayed. It will tell you who you should contact if you have any questions about it. It will, even if we've identified who we're going to be, if the bids have been received, it will actually show you the bids that we've received, so that you understand who's most likely to win this contract. And then when a contract has been awarded, my hope in the future is to actually attach that contract to that tracker and then have it available for 5 years. So in the next cycle, you can reference the previous cycle and understand what had happened. But again, my hope is to make as much pertinent information available to you as possible. And that solicitation tracker, I think, is a great way to do it, because now you'll know what state of the solicitation process we're in, and at every state you'll know what the outcome was, so that there's never any surprise. And frankly, this plays to my third value, which is efficiency. We, again, since we are funded by taxpayer dollars, do not have any business spending any more money on running this department than we should be doing. Every time one of you calls us to ask us about the state of a solicitation, we're actually taking away valuable time from that and then answering your questions. If we could create a self-service portal like the solicitation tracker, you will get the answers to the questions you deserve to have answered whenever you want on call. So if you ever get a chance, even on your phone, just type in the word solicitation tracker and you'll see this tool that's actually gotten a lot of attention nationally. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and ask me if they can replicate something like that where they work. But again, efficiency is something that you should come to expect from us. And over the course of this year, you'll see a lot of things that we will do to help with that. At the end of the day, probably the most important value is not any of the three I mentioned, but the one that I'll talk about last, which is empathy. I think people in government tend to just take on a different persona sometimes. And again, I say this is probably one of the biggest cynics of government, which is ironic that I'm here now. But I do genuinely believe that we owe to you and to ourselves that golden rule, this idea that we would treat you the way we'd expect to be treated. And so to that end, every month, on the third Wednesday of the month, I'm hosting an open house at my offices, which are at 255 Rockville Pike in Rockville. It's Suite 180. If you've never, and again, that address, if you need it, it's on all of our material that's available at that booth over there. But if you've never come to one of these events, then do plan to attend. You know, I fully get that our processes are not, I was going to say not the simplest. I'd say the better way of saying is that they are convoluted. And what I want to do is rewrite our regulations entirely, which I intend to do over the course of this calendar year. But even as I work to do that, we owe you whatever handholding and support you need from us, which is why if you come to our offices on the third Wednesday of any month at 10 a.m., I think this month would be on the 19th then, you can meet with not only our purchasing specialists and some of the folks that you see sitting in the back there today, but with my division chiefs, with me, myself, and ask us whatever questions you have so that you're never left feeling that we're not giving you the support you need. So hopefully, just in describing the values of my office, I've also been able to touch on some of the opportunities that we've been able to create to better serve our business community. There's lots of other things that we've done. We've reduced the size of the solicitations so that when you look at our solicitations, they usually tend to be about 150 to 200 pages. But I realize that small companies don't have an army that can be going through 200-page documents only to decide that this isn't even worth their time, right? So what we've done is we've created a paragraph view where in one paragraph you can decide whether you want to click on that document or just say this is not for me. And even after that paragraph, if you still want a little more information, we've created the facility online where you can just look at the actual scope of work. It'll tell you what specifically needs to be done in no more than 8 pages. So this way, you don't have to read a 200-page document to decide whether or not you want to do work with us. And I think, again, that speaks to transparency. I think that speaks to empathy. It speaks to all of those values that I've been talking about so far. We've done a bunch of things to make things better, but honestly, this was only my first 9 months, and frankly, it took me like 3 months to even figure out where I was. What we're going to do in this year, I'm excited about, and I hope that you are too. But in the meantime, come to one of our open houses. Come see me here again in about 2 months. And you know, this, as one of my colleagues describes, is a procurement bonanza. It's an opportunity for you to change the course of the future for yourselves and for us. Thank you.
Again, thank you again to Montgomery County. They're doing an incredible job, as you can see. So real quick, just to move things along, I want to bring up Roger Campos, Assistant Secretary for Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. He's just going to give you a brief on some of the programs they have for business. Okay, we don't often think of the Department of Housing, Community Development in that sense, but they do have some wonderful programs. So Roger, if you could come up.
Thanks, Eduardo. I want to thank Eduardo. I'd like to thank Jimmy Rhee and his team, you know, for putting together this conference and also engaging you as business owners, you know, in some of the activities that we do with the Department of Housing. I also want to compliment the last gentleman, who I have not met yet, but it's civil servants like him that you should connect with because these people really do care, and all of us do within the state. Some so more than others, but I want to tell you this office, the Governor's Office of Small Business, is a fantastic office to work with, and we're very proud to work with them. Some of my programs. I don't know how many of you business owners have retail establishments, you know, in business locations, but those of you who do, you should connect with your nonprofit partners because the Department of Housing has grants available for you to spruce up the outside of your storefronts, painting, awnings. We're working with the crime prevention team in the governor's office to also add security cameras, you know, to help your customers feel safe, bring in more customers, and of course, public safety is one of the most important features of any business, and we want to help your businesses succeed. And in that regard, we do have business loans. We fund micro-lenders. I don't know if very many of you understand or know very much about micro-lenders, but they generally have loans up to $50,000 with very generous terms. And one of our micro lenders gives out loans without any FICO scores or credit, up to $5,000. So if any of you have a small cash need like that, you can always see me or Eduardo to put me in touch with you. I can give you more information about those micro lenders that we fund. We fund them throughout the state. And in particular, we do focus on several areas, Montgomery County being one of those key areas where we'd like you to participate. I don't know how many people here attended our last Access to Capital event, which was held at the Horseshoe Casino in December, but we're going to host another event, hopefully here in the near future. We had 25 business lenders, all sorts of lenders, not just banks, not just traditional financing, but alternative financing. And as I mentioned, some of those lenders require extremely low collateral requirements and credit scores, so you should take advantage of those. If any of you would like to see me later, I'm available. My email is really easily accessible. It's just like my name up there with a dot in front of it, and at maryland.gov. Very similar to all of our Maryland partners. So again, I want to thank you for having me be here.
All right, thank you again. Sometimes you never know the little nuggets that are out there, right? Who would have thought Department of Housing for business, but they are there for you guys. So right now I want to bring up our Chief of Staff, Ms. Pamela Gregory, and she's going to lead us through our honoree presentations for 3 businesses that we are recognizing today, really for their hard work, the impact they're making to the economy, local, for the state, and how they work with the communities that they're in. So with that, Ms. Gregory.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here in this beautiful Silver Spring area this morning. And as always, I have the best role in our program because I get to introduce you to some exceptional small business owners. Maryland is open for business, and today we will honor 3 outstanding local entrepreneurs. Each will be presented with a governor's citation recognizing their contributions to Maryland's economy as a result of their hard work, dedication, and pursuit of excellence. Special Secretary Jimmy Ree and Jerome Fletcher will present the citations on behalf of Governor Larry Hogan. To our recipients, when I call your name, please come forward to receive your citation as I tell our guests a little bit about you. We're going to start with the women. 100 years ago, passage of the 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. And in recognition of that historical event, Governor Hogan declared 2020 the year of the woman in Maryland. Our state has been and continues to be shaped by extraordinary women leaders. You're going to meet 2 of them today. Our first recipient is Michelle Taylor, President and CEO of Beta Associates, Inc. Beta is a thriving family-owned professional services firm offering communications, event management, and peer review services to government clients. After the passing of her mother, the original founder of the company, Michelle evolved from a sudden CEO to a successful CEO. Her vision and entrepreneurial resilience has resulted in Beta being recognized on the Inc. magazine's 2017 list of the fastest growing companies in the nation, the Washington Business Journal's 2019 Best Family-Owned Business. This accomplished businesswoman is a graduate of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, is a Forbes Agency Council member, and the author of an article series on executive growth. Michelle is actively involved in the business community. She serves on the board of the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce, the Montgomery County Local Management Board of Children, Youth and Families, and the Women of Influence, an organization that provides access to capital for business owners owned by women of color. Congratulations, Michelle. Our next honoree is Mercida Roxas Murray, founder and CEO of Montage Marketing Group. This marketing outreach, engagement, and communications agency has been doing business in Montgomery County since 2014. Mercida is the daughter of an immigrant who inherited a spirit of hard work, determination, and advocacy for others. With over 20 years in the marketing industry, Mercida has a reputation. With her government and commercial sector clients talk about her, they use words like strategic, steadfast, and versatile. Montage Marketing Group has won several awards, including Top 100 Minority and Women-Owned Business in 2018 and 19, and in 2018, Women Entrepreneur of the Year Award from the Maryland Women's Business Center. Mercida serves on the board of the Montgomery County Small Business Association and is an active member of the National Minority Supplier Development Council's Minority Business Entrepreneur Input Committee. She is also the founder of the 50 by 50 Project, a program focused on the advancement and professional development of 50 aspiring professionals who lack opportunity, resources, and support. Congratulations, Mercida. Our third honoree is Richie Muhammad, owner of Richmo Enterprises, LLC. Richmo Enterprises was founded in 1995 as a general construction services firm serving the government and commercial sectors. Richie immigrated to the United States from the island of Trinidad and Tobago, then earned a mechanical engineering degree at Howard University. He mastered his craft working for some of the biggest construction firms in the area, but always knew he would lead his own company. RME has successfully completed a wide variety of prime and subcontracting projects up to $5 million in scope and working across multiple disciplines. Richie has an impeccable reputation, and I will gladly name drop some of his customers like the MGM National Harbor, the University of Maryland, FDIC, the Army Corps of Engineers, and NSA. General construction is a very competitive industry, so Richie knows you make money by being on time and on budget. For RME, that's just the standard of doing business. His measures of success, however, comes from the company's outstanding safety record, the jobs he provides for Maryland citizens. That's what makes him sleep well at night. Congratulations, Rich. So I'd like all the recipients to come back up for a group photo.
Thank you again. Oh, wonderful, wonderful honorees, great businesses, thank you. Right now, I'd like to ask our secretary, Jimmy Ree, to come up, and he's going to just say a few words. You want to speak from here?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Good morning. So, hey, Roger, thank you. I want to thank all of you, Jerome, Daniel, Ash, from Executive Office in Montgomery County. Thank you for all that you guys do. These people are passionate people, okay? You can see that, right? Their commitment to advancing the small business community is, to me, second to none. So thank you for all that you do. Roger, imagine Roger having a microfinance event at a casino, okay? There's a input-output flow of money right there, instantaneous, okay? So do participate in the DHCD's event. And I want to thank my staff, my Chief of Staff, Pam Gregory, and my Communications Director, Allison Tavick, Outreach Manager, Eduardo Hayden. I think I have my Small Business Manager, Lisa Sena out there, as well as Nichelle Johnson, who oversees the MBE compliance. My office is the primary advocate for small minority women business in the state, and we oversee all 70 agencies on their activities concerning what you do, okay? So let me just start off by saying this. I have so much to say, right? Sometimes I like to start out with a joke, and because I have so much to say, it's almost like having a baby when I speak extemporaneously, because it's like it's easy to conceive as what I want to say, but hard to deliver, okay? So I do understand if I should stumble to some extent, but I do want to say this, okay? I do want to recognize this is the year of the woman, as Pam stated. The governor has declared the 2020 as the year of the woman to celebrate the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote. So congrats to the better half of the humanity. So, okay. And I do want to also mention that something about census a bit later, okay, which is very important, right? But let's start off. Your governor, Larry Hogan, was himself a small businessman. So he really gets it, okay? So he understands the challenges that you face, the obstacles you face, and he does truly appreciate the positive impact that you have on overall Maryland's economy. He gets it. He truly gets it, okay? Now remember when you took the office 4.5, 5 years ago, Maryland's economy wasn't as good, okay? And we had lost about 100,000 jobs back then, so he focused on improving the private sector first, sort of create jobs, turn the economy around, and since then we had the net increase of about 120 to 140,000 jobs under his leadership. Today, Maryland ranks number 3 on entrepreneurial growth among all 50 states. We are the second most innovative state in the country, and we are number 1 on minority and women business formation and ownership in the whole country, thanks to people like you, okay? And I do also want to congratulate the women's business because, look, today there are more than 19.2 million women-owned businesses in the country. They employ more than 9.2 million people. They generate $1.8 trillion in revenue, okay? That's tremendous. 40% of all privately held companies in the U.S. are women-owned businesses. And every day, 1,800 new women-owned businesses get launched. Compare that to 1972 when we only had 400,000 women-owned businesses, right? However, women-owned businesses, they are not performing close to the parity of their counterpart, male-owned businesses, okay? Especially minority women-owned businesses, their revenue is 1/2 of that of their counterpart, the male-owned businesses. So we have a long ways to go. Women-owned businesses receive only 2% of venture capital funding, okay? And many women, especially minority women, they are more of a necessity entrepreneurs rather than opportunity entrepreneurs, right? So we have a lot of work to do. Imagine this statistics, excuse me. We could have I believe it's 1.2 trillion more in revenue and 4 million more jobs in our economy if a minority-owned business performed to parity to that of non-minority woman business, okay? Considering non-minority woman business have trouble compared to that of the male counterpart, we still have a long ways to go, okay? So what do we do? Imagine, I'm going to give you a state of small business in Maryland, okay? Imagine the triangle, right? At the apex, you have about 21,000 companies competing in the government sector, trying to get government contracts, right? And right below that triangle, you have close to 580,000 entities registered as small business competing in the private sector. So running a small business is difficult. It's tough because your landscape is constantly shifting from automation to AI to globalization to on-demand economy. You name them. Running a small business is not easy. So What the governor does is he focuses on improving the forest so all trees receive sunlight. He focuses on larger issues, workforce, education, taxes and fee structures, regulatory structures, physical infrastructures, because in this era of globalization, you gain economic strength by connecting interdependent parts. So it's all about connecting capacity and capability to opportunity that are out there, right? My office, we focus on smaller issues. He focuses on forests, we work on trees, okay? You, the small business. So we focus on three things, primarily. One, your corporate competency. Are you good at what you do? Are you best at what you do? Are you sure? Because if you're not good at what you do, you're gonna compete in price. And just as water seeks the lowest ground, smart purchasing money seeks the lowest price. And you've done that at Walmart yourself, okay? Two, access to capital. Money to business is like blood to your body, without which you cannot sustain what you do, no matter how good you are. That issue has to be taken care of. That was what Roger was talking about. Tremendously important. And third, do you understand? Do you have an insightful understanding of certain policies that impact your business, your sector, your industry? Without understanding those policies, you really cannot position your business so that there's a tailwind behind you, okay? If you don't understand policies, you don't really know what the opportunities are. Imagine being a solar developer, solar energy developer. And you have no idea of something called Renewable Portfolio Standard, which mandates the utilities to purchase certain percentage of their electricity from clean energy source. Policy brings opportunities. If you don't have clear understanding of the policies, well, it's risky for you, okay? So when you have all those three things aligned, competency, capital, insightful understanding of your policies, only then you ought to have your business plan resting on top of them. So you can ask yourself, do I have all those three pillars in place? Only you can answer, right? Now, let me talk a little bit about something that's going around in the world, okay? You've heard something called globalization, right? It's really nothing more than just democratization of information, technology, and capital, right? It's very competitive out there, tremendously competitive. Right? Some people call this era Darwinism of capitalism on steroids. Everything's getting disrupted because of technology. And you have to change. You have to adapt very quickly. If you don't, you perish. It's that simple. The rule of the business is very simple today. Is whatever can be done, it will get done because of technology and connectivity. The real question is, would it be done by you? Would it be done to you? Okay? So you better act quickly. So what is the new rule of survival? Because there will be a continuous innovation on the internet. There will automate tasks, they will displace jobs, they will commoditize what you sell, whether it's service or product. Tell me one thing that you sell that Amazon cannot. Toilet paper? It's a new world out there. You have to change. So what do you do? What's the solution? Okay? The new paradigm is simply this. It's old-fashioned. Focus on your client's problems. Don't tell me about your solution. Tell me more about my problems, okay? And if you could, pick a problem that is very widely spread, that's prevalent everywhere, okay? That everybody suffers from, because that determines the size of your market. Pick a problem that is growing in intensity, because you know your market will be there for a while, okay? Pick a problem that has to be resolved urgently, okay? Like bust the toilet, okay? Something that has to be done right away, that gives you customers imperative, that nature, that they have to come to you. Pick a problem that costs a lot of money to the customers unless they fix it, right? That determines the revenue of your business, right? Pick a problem that the government mandates your clients to fix it quickly, otherwise they'll be fined, okay? Like when we had ACA imposed on all healthcare facilities. That guarantees your market, and so on. So focus on problem first. And then you determine what the solution ought to be. And your solution should be 0 to 1, as PayPal founder once said. What do I mean by that? 0 to 01 to 02 is going from pen and paper to manual typewriter. And 02 to 03 is manual typewriter to electric typewriter. Each innovation, incremental innovation, making the prior innovation obsolete, so you're dead, okay? That's horizontal innovation. 0 to 1 is vertical, going from pen and paper to word processing, software, disruptive, transformative. Think that way, 0 to 1, okay? Otherwise, your solution is probably commoditized. Somebody else has similar solutions as well. But most importantly, number 3 is this. People really don't buy what you sell. They buy why you sell. Does your product inspire your customers, okay? If your product inspires them to dream more, to learn more, to do more, to become more, trust me, you'll be very successful. And I know one thing certainly here is this. There's no better group of people with stronger will to succeed than the people who are sitting over here, the small business entrepreneurs. So I wish you all luck, and let me say a few words on census, because I have to do this, okay? We all know what census is all about, right? It's counting people. Why do we count them? Does anybody know? Yes? It's a constitutional requirement, that's true, okay? So we do this every 10 years because of 3 things. Number 1, how many, congressional representation, how many people can send to the US Congress, right? 2, redistricting, okay? We draw the line, right? Depending where people live and how many people live in a particular district or whatever, right? And 3, perhaps more relevant to all of you, money, okay? Federal money budget allocation. Did you know there are $675 billion of federal funding allocated to states determined by census? And imagine this, every person not counted or undercounted, do you know how much it costs us, the state? $1,825 per person for 10 years, okay? And you know that money is used for various programs that you know that perhaps you have been the beneficiaries, okay? Road construction, repair, okay? Life-saving programs at various healthcare facilities, emergency planning, and so on. Now think about, everybody's talking about coronavirus from China, right? So let's just say we have vaccination. And based on the undercounted census, this particular area where you have 1,000 people, we only counted 600 people. So local county or local city government says only 600 people live there, so let's prepare the vaccination based on 600 people. What's the consequence of that decision? Pretty bad, right? So think in that context. This census is important, so please participate. It's safe. I know what's going on from the macro perspective, that there's a trust issue, okay, which we're not going to talk about, but trust me, this is a private information. Every single person ought to be counted, okay? We are all part of the single group, same group, so please go out there, evangelize concerning this importance of census, all right? So thank you so much.
There's not. They could. If you're gonna walk around, I can just.
Okay. You mind?
All right, so now, sorry, now we're gonna have our Director of Communications, Allison Tavick, is gonna go over the procurement programs in the state of Maryland.
Okay, that's a tough act to follow. Yeah, so Secretary Ree talked about the cycle and how the roles play out a little bit in government. So I'm Allison Tavick, the Director of Communications with the Governor's Office of Small Minority and Women Business Affairs, and yes, it rolls right off my tongue. All those words are important because that really talks about who our audience is and who we serve here in Maryland. You heard about this from Secretary Reed. What does the state of Maryland look like now? And under the Hogan administration, we are moving forward. And it's not just what we think, it's what other people are saying about us and how we're being evaluated by other people as well. So all good information for the Maryland small business community. So what do we do? Secretary Reed talked about our role. I love the analogy of the trees. I've just come back from Northern California where I got to see the redwoods. You're the redwoods. Right? So 100 years from now, you need to be the big, thick trees with the canopies that are, drowning out the other small stuff underneath there. But what does our state actual procurement programs look like? So we oversee 3 procurement programs. Let me share them with you real quickly in case you're not familiar with them. It's very hard. I'm going to try not to turn around too many times. Okay, so the Small Business Reserve Program. Last year, $410 million paid out through the SBR program. Anybody interested in a piece of $410 million? Excellent answer. Thank you for your enthusiasm. So look, this is a prime contracting program. This is a true set-aside where agencies are specifically tasked with making sure that 15% of their work is designated and spent by firms that are registered as small businesses. To register in this program, which is race and gender neutral, it's an online process that happens through our e-procurement platform, Emma. I'm going to talk about in another minute here. But you must be registered and as a small business reserve member, an SBR firm, in order to bid on these kind of opportunities. The Minority Business Enterprise Program, probably the best known of our 3 procurement programs, over 40 years old, leading in the nation. People still come to us in Maryland to ask us about our program when they are building out their programs at states around the country. This program is a subcontracting program. It has a 29% goal, and it is a race and gender specific program. In this program, you are going to need to complete a certification process that determines that you are socially and economically disadvantaged. Okay? This is a process that happens through the Department of Transportation's Office of Minority Business Enterprise. Strategically, we're separated from the certification process. We oversee the actual implementation and compliance of the program, so the certification is happening in a different arena. All right, so certification is with Office of Minority Business Enterprise at MDOT, and then the veteran business. And MBE, $1.1 billion last year. Okay, both prime and subcontracting. It is predominantly a subcontracting program, but MBEs may perform as prime contractors as well, so you can work in both areas for that program. And then our veteran-owned small business enterprise program, the newest of the 3, won $125 million in awards in the last fiscal year to veteran-owned firms. This is a 1% statewide goal for this program. So still nice, robust $125 million. So if you are in the SBR, MBE, or VSBE program, raise your hand. Okay, good. About half of you. All right, so today in the room, when Eduardo talked at the beginning of the program about connecting, you have the opportunity to connect with experts about these programs. We're not going to drill into the details of them today too much. We're going to talk more about the bigger picture of procurement so that you can understand how to navigate what can be a very complicated process. But you have the experts in the room, and we're going to be hanging out the rest of the day. So come and talk to us at the Governor's Office of Small, Minority, and Women Business Affairs today if you want more specific information about the programs. What I want to cover a little bit more is the simple kind of concept that Secretary Reed has already talked about. There are some basic business principles that apply no matter who your customer is. And one is simply knowing your customer. So if you want to compete with confidence in the state contracting arena, you must understand the procurement process. It's a famous quote. I just said it. I'm Allison, right? I'm Allison Tavick. Okay, but this is not news, right? There's nothing staggering or mind-blowing about this piece of information. It's the standard of how you do business. Whether you're working in the private sector or the public sector, you must understand your customer. You have to know how they buy. That's how you achieve success, okay? And in Maryland, 80% of our economic activity is actually taking place in the private sector. The government sector is only accounting for 20% of our economy. So it is unlikely for any of your businesses that you can sustain by putting all your eggs in one basket. right? It is not likely that the government will be your only customer. So it's very important that you apply this rule everywhere, but certainly in the government sector. I want to try to share a little insights because we're a tougher nut to crack than the public sector because we use a process called procurement, and it is indeed a process, and there are lots of steps to it, and it is actually written and codified. Your legislators are setting the laws and the regulations by which the state of Maryland is spending the taxpayer dollars that are given to us to spend, okay? It's called procurement. We put it into policy through the Code of Maryland Regulation, COMAR. Now, I used to make a statement that said, you know, if you're having trouble sleeping at night, pull up COMAR. Right? I retract that. If you heard me say that before, please disregard that. Now I want to say like 2 cups of coffee and some cappuccino before you sit down and read this, because this is how important it is. It's important that you understand it. Do not dismiss it, and do not just pass it by, because the people who know the rule book, right, don't get taken advantage of. Okay, they understand how to play the game and how to do it in a professional and successful manner. So please understand COMAR. Our e-procurement platform is called EMA, E-Maryland Marketplace Advantage. This is a platform that was just launched by the state. It is managed by the Department of General Services, who is here today. But you've got to be a registered vendor in E-Maryland Marketplace Advantage to do business with the state of Maryland. What's great about this particular platform is the counties, the cities, and the municipalities all have access to it as well. So you will not only find state contracting opportunities here, but you'll find local government access as well. Please raise your hand if you're a registered vendor in EMA. Okay, put your hand down if you are not, no, keep your hand up, I'm sorry, but put it down if you're not receiving emails from this platform that tells you what, some of you put your hand down. Okay, so yeah, again, you know, here's the problem when you launch a new system. Flip it. When you launch a new system, there's always some glitches. And one of the things that's happening in EMA right now is that if you don't have your profile properly entered into the system, it doesn't know to send you emails, okay? We're using specific product and service codes. You must identify what you do, what you provide, what are you trying to sell, so that the system can trigger that emails, right? If it doesn't know what you do, it's not sending anything to you. I'm less worried about you getting bad emails because you can go in and modify your profile. You can always update it. You can add as your business grows. But if you're not getting any emails, it means there's something wrong in the system. And one of the things can simply be that you didn't provide an email address in your contact information. You registered as a vendor and you used an email address in your registration, but you didn't provide it on the contact side. Okay, so right now it's not a mandatory screen, but please go back in your profile, look at every piece of information in the contact section, fill it all in. We want to be sending you emails. This is a very important platform, okay? So let's talk a little bit about, again, the nuts and bolts. How do we do business? So predominantly bids and proposals, right? So Secretary Reed talked about, you know, how does purchasing money, seeks the lowest price. So when we're talking about, and guys, don't forget, we're going to send you this slide deck, and it's going to be way easier to read in your email box than it is from the pictures on your phone, I promise you. But lowest bid price when we're asking for a bid. It's an invitation for bid. We have a defined quantity. We know what we want. We want 38,000 purple widgets that are 2 inches, right? And so everyone who can provide that is providing a bid. In a bid, we are choosing the best, we're choosing the lowest price. In a proposal, it means we need to do something or we have a problem and we're asking you to help us map that out, the solution to that, how to deliver the end product, right? So now you're submitting a proposal, and every person who provides a proposal is going to do it in somewhat of a different way and have a different approach to it. In that, we're going to be evaluating the money side of it, but we're going to be evaluating the technical competence of the firm, and we're going to be making a decision based on the most advantageous proposal, right? But whether we're looking for bids or whether we're looking for proposals, timelines are critical in state government, in any government. If the bid is due at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, 2:01 is a no-go. Don't even come in, right? Don't show up. You got stuck in the traffic like we did this morning, too bad, right? Bid openings are not delayed because of rain or traffic, okay? Emma's going to help solve this situation a little bit in that as we move to a truly electronic platform, you'll either have hit the submit button or you won't, because a second after, it will not accept it, okay? So really, really important that you keep the timing of this in mind. Other key factors for us, responsive and responsible. These are critical factors for us in the evaluation process when we're determining who to buy from. Responsive means you turned all the paperwork in, you submitted it, you did all of the forms. We're government, we got some forms. We're a little bit attached to our forms, right? We like our forms. So it's really on you as the know your customer thing to learn the forms, right? And make sure you're filling out the forms correct. Sometimes you could lose an opportunity because you didn't do the paperwork right, okay? Wouldn't you, if you knew that, wouldn't you fix it? Simple fix, right? So in responsible, what we're talking, or responsive, you get it done and you get in and on time. And responsible, it means that you've demonstrated to us that you're capable of doing the work. When we're making evaluations, whether it's a bid or a proposal, we are evaluating for both responsible and responsive bidders or offerers, okay? Critical in the process. Real quick, let's talk money for a minute. There are 4 basic procurement categories. I want to make sure that you understand them because to me they're weird in that they fall in a strange pattern. So this is my visual need to lay it out in a way that makes sense. So we have small procurements and formal procurements. There are 3 categories of small procurements. 2 of them are almost identical. So small procurement category 1 and category 2 are things between under $5,000 for category 1 or under $15,000. You will not see these things put out on email and marketplace. That's the most important thing to understand about small procurement category 1 and category 2. So if you sell something that we buy for a $12,000 contract, are you interested in that? Right, but now you gotta go find out where it is because it's not coming in your email through Emma, okay? So that's why you need to figure out the buyers. You have to know your customer. The state of Maryland doesn't buy anything. Agencies, departments, and buyers buy things. So it comes down to understanding who within the state is buying what you sell, okay? Especially to tap into these small procurements. What we call, right, in the outside markets, we're gonna call that low-hanging fruit, okay? Well, low-hanging fruit exists here, but it's very hard, it's harder to tap and find that. Category 3 is now we're getting in small procurement category 3 is going to be over $15,000 and it is going to be required to be posted on email and marketplace just like anything $50,000 and above. So you're going to see all of these things on eMaryland, okay? Greater access to them, but again, just responsive and responsible apply. Pipeline, we have public transparency is very important in the way that we do business. We need you guys bidding and submitting proposals. The more options we have, the better use of how we spend state dollars. So we never want single bidders. We want open, public, transparent contracting. Predominantly, these channels for you would be eMaryland Marketplace Advantage, right? That's why it's so important to register as a vendor. Inside tip, we'll never write a check to anybody who's not registered in Emma. Okay, so if you're the person we should be writing a check to, you have to be in Emma. Okay, so you start with Emma. Great pipeline for business intelligence. There's so much that you can mine from this system. Also, agency websites. While we have this master program, right, through Emma, we also have individual agencies that collect data on buyers that are significant or relevant to them. Department of General Services is here today. You can sign up specifically for a vendor list with them. Right? If you know that they're in your pipeline, they're your potential customers, you should be on their hit list as well, okay? Department of Housing and Community Development that Roger mentioned, they have a independent list as well, all right? So understanding how the agencies and utilizing their websites for resources, especially for that stuff under the $15,000 threshold, because there's an opportunity sometimes that they'll put those things out on their website. And the third is the procurement forecast. So the procurement forecast is regulated. We're mandated, the state is mandated to have this forecast available to you, and thanks to technology, because we used to just get Excel spreadsheets that sat in our office, and if you didn't come and ask for them, you didn't have access to them. But thanks to technology, they are now live and out on the web, and now we're gonna do the screenshot version of the presentation, because I'm a visual learner, and you know, we all think everybody's like us, so I think you like to learn the same way I do. So we're gonna take a quick look. Go back one slide, Eduardo. This is the website, GoMD Small Biz. This is our website. You can see where the procurement forecast is. Don't forget, we're gonna send you this slide deck. You're gonna have the roadmap at your office to follow. So you're gonna use the procurement forecast tab, and what is if you take the time to do what none of us like to do, which is read the instructions. The instructions tell you that it's really important once you do a search that you download the results to Excel, and I want to pinpoint why that is so important. But the key here is that if there's a screenshot that falls underneath this with basic information of all of your searches, but it doesn't connect to the procurement buyer's information, and that's the stuff that I want you to have. So the export to Excel button is an absolute must in this process, okay? So next slide. So I did a search. I did Central Maryland. I selected a region of Central Maryland. You can see I have 6 different search options. In this one, I chose Central Maryland. I hit the search button, and I exported to Excel. I got an Excel spreadsheet that I think is might have 18 columns in it, okay? So I've condensed it for you because there's no way that we could look at it together. So I've condensed it. So for my search, again, I didn't look at a specific industry, I just looked at a region, Central Maryland. There were 900 results in my search, okay? So here's a quick screenshot. We got transportation, police, stadium authority, comptroller, general services. This is, you can find out who an incumbent was. If you want to be a subcontractor, would you like to know who the primes are that are winning work in the category you would like to work in? Would the name of an incumbent be valuable to you? Okay, right, research value. There's research value here. Even if you're not ready to go after the work, start the relationship. Start building the relationship, okay? So here we look at, is there a goal? Goals on some of these go up to 23%. Some have 0 goals. There's a description of the work. This is one of the columns talks about the money. What do we think is the estimated value? But now we got the name of a procurement officer, okay? The procurement officer. This is how you start the relationship, and you also start to drill in to figure out, I can talk to this person to see about what's under the threshold, right? If there's what is one of these? Power washing. If I do power washing services, but I miss this opportunity, or I'm not ready for this one, or it's too big, do I still want to talk to Tammy Russell? Would I want to connect with Tammy so Tammy knows I'm a power washer and that I'm interested in what? Small procurements, category 1 or 2, right? When I talk the same language that Tammy talks, does that help me build a relationship? Absolutely. Talk Tammy's language, know your customer. So let's look at this one example. I wanted to show you the police department. They're looking for uniforms or crime lab building maintenance. Nice, robust, 30% goal. Some nice dollars here. And the purchase officer is named DGS, right? So in our procurement process, there are times when other agencies buy for people. In this case, the Department of General Services is buying for them. Well, DGS, what's that? DGS. Who else is on this list? General Services. Do you see the second from the bottom is General Services? Even though now they're looking about clean air handling ductwork, Colleen, right? Colleen Haynes. Could I talk to Colleen Haynes about work with the police? Would she be a good call? Yes, she would be a great call, a first call. Is it likely Colleen's going to have all the answers that I need? No, she is not. But she's going to know where to send you. She's going to know how to work with you, right? Good way to get that relationship going. Again, whether it's finding out about the big stuff or learning how to navigate the smaller stuff, all critical in the business process. So let's look at one more quick example. This time I chose the word services. I did a search. I exported to Excel. I'm showing you again a collapsed version. This for services had 250 results. Okay, so I've shrunk it up a little bit. This time we looked at the agency name, the procurement method, right? Is it a bid or a proposal? How are you going to be participating? There's, of course, the description, where, the location, right? So we're going to tell you where. When is it expected to happen, right? Because remember, this is a procurement forecast. There's no guarantee that all this is going to happen, but this is when it's expected to happen and the dollar amount. And again, the procurement officer. But those people at transportation, they didn't name their procurement contact. So what do we do about that? We tap into another resource that the state requires, and that is that there is an MBE and an SBR liaison assigned at every agency. And that liaison is there to make sure that we are implementing robust goals, and if problems occur for MBEs or SBRs, once they're actually working on an active contract, they are your go-between. There's no such thing as that liaison in the private sector. Okay, this is a huge tool. We have this on our website. There is a section called MBE Liaison, SBR Liaison. When we don't provide the information in the forecast, perhaps there was no procurement officer in that arena at the time the forecast was put together and they weren't able to name somebody. So now you go to the liaison list. You find the liaison for the port administration and you call them and say, you have this listed on your forecast. Who can I talk to about that procurement? Okay, so you navigate the information. It all cycles back to the same thing, guys. This is all about knowing your customer. And this is also the tip of the iceberg on how big it is to understand procurement information. And it is a passion for us in our office that we continue to do training. Things like this workshop, right? Connecting you to the guys with the money. We're not the buyers, but we know who is doing the buying, right? So this is not their public relations team. These are not their outreach folks. These are the actual buyers, right? So when you know that Department of Health is your potential customer, these are the guys that are actually doing the buying. This is how you start the relationships, right? So Ready, Set, Grow. We do 6 of these a year at locations all around the state. It's been 2 years since we've been here in Montgomery County, and we're so excited to be back. Our schedule is listed on our website, GoMD Small Biz. So the schedule, I think we have it all mapped out, but one location so far this year. So you can see where we're going to be throughout 2020. And then we have our technical training classroom. These are free classes offered the 4th Tuesday of every month. Now these are stationary at our office in Crownsville. So if I could come out to Silver Spring, I'd like to think that you can come out to Crownsville. And quite honestly, I'm a Frostburg girl, grew up in Frostburg. There are times if you can get free information that is going to give value to your business, then get in the car and drive to Crownsville. Okay, that's what entrepreneurs do, right? That's what small businesses do. So this technical training classroom series, again, free classes. This month, we'll be doing a class called State Procurement 101, which is a 2-hour drilled-in version of what we just covered in 15 minutes. Okay, so if you want the deep dive, that's called State Procurement 101. We teach all kinds of classes specifically about the Small Business Reserve Program. We bring in experts from the small business community who teach about how to do bidding. I don't know how to bid. I don't know how to. It's not anything that I'm familiar with. I couldn't teach it to you, but we know business people who can. So we talk about bidding and writing proposals, and it's a very robust schedule. I hope you go out and take a look at it, and that you'll come to Crownsville, join us for some free classes, get to know our staff, and take advantage of the resource, because just like the folks here at Prince George's County, we want to be available to you. Thank you for coming out today. I think this is the first step. That we are real people, trying to help you guys navigate a very big process. So my colleague Lisa Sinar is up next. She has the meat of the matter because she is going to tell you what people are trying to buy right now and what is in their pipeline. So I'm going to turn it over to Lisa. Thank you.
Just use the right or left arrow.
Can you guys hear me? Oh, wonderful. This is good. Okay.
All right.
So this?
Yep.
Cool. Good to go. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to try to make this as succinct as possible so you can meet these wonderful people over here who you've been waiting to meet, and that's the buyers. I'm going to introduce you and just give you an overview of the agencies that are here and some of the things that they're prepared to buy, just so you know. Sometimes it's hard to get around to all of the tables, so by looking here, maybe make a few notes that there are certain agencies that you really want to get to today. So, we've got the City of Rockville. Again, you guys are going to get this whole slide presentation, so after today, you're going to get the website for the agencies that were here, so you'll be able to go to that. You're also going to get their contact people, the liaisons, their email addresses, the buyers, so all the information here is going to get emailed to you. So great when you're going over and sharing your capability statements with the people who are here today, exchange cards, but also know that afterwards you can go through and see maybe some people that you didn't get to reach out to, okay? My colleague Allison Tavick mentioned how much money is spent, and it's enormous when you think about the money that is spent with small, minority, women-owned, and veteran businesses in the state of Maryland, so take advantage of this today. City of Rockville. Now, when we're talking about small procurements, and that's a little loud, talking about small procurements, wanted to give you an idea of the kind of items that are purchased in terms of small procurements. Now again, these are items that largely are not advertised, but you have to know the buyer. Each area, for example, with the City of Rockville, they tell you what you have to do to get on this list. And in this case, it is contacting Pat Ryan, who's here today, for email introductions. Now that's a great value to know who exactly it is in the City of Rockville that you're trying to contact. So again, promotional items, fleet service parts equipment, printing, heavy equipment. These are things $0 to $3,000, $3,000 to $30,000. Now those are informal procurements. For those, you would visit the city's website. Again, this is good for you to know when you're going back afterwards to figure out, okay, who do I call and who do I email? One of the smartest things that you can do as a business owner, and my colleague mentioned it, is to understand the rules. If you're emailing someone when they said to call, and you're calling someone when they said to email, that's not a good thing. If you're asking when the information is right here, you're wasting your time. So just trying to make sure that you guys can be as efficient and have as much information as possible. Now here, we also ask agencies to give us an example of their current opportunities that are available. For example, temporary staffing needs. That's what the City of Rockville is looking for. There's a procurement that's going to be posted February 11th. So if you know folks, if that's you, reach out to them. Another one, something, God bless you, that's in the pipeline. This is something that's set for the fiscal 20 year, but Q4, but it's a $35,000 estimated elevator maintenance job. Again, this just gives you an idea of the detailed information that you can get from these agencies. Now, Rockville has a minority female disabled program, MFD. You can contact, again, Pat Ryan to get more details about your certifications. Those of you that have minority business enterprise certifications from other entities, the state of Maryland or perhaps other cities, you can find out from them which certifications they accept, because you may not have to get certified to be in their MFD, Minority Female Disabled Outreach Program. Montgomery County Office of Procurement. So here, this is where the details are important, and I've just highlighted them so that you know. For example, if you have up to $10,000 procurements, these are direct purchases. They're made at the department level. You want to know that. These are not advertised. With educational and training services, consulting services, telephone equipment, accessories, and supplies, computer software for microcomputers. Again, you'll be looking through and mining these lists to see, does this fit the scope of work and services that you all provide, okay? Informal procurements, $10,000 to $99,000. For these particular category of procurements, it's an informal solicitation. They're published on their procurement website. So they're letting you know, for that range, $10,000 to $99,000, it's going to be published, but they're also telling you that notices are sent to businesses that are registered in their vendor database, okay? Formal procurements, those are over $100,000. Formal solicitations, again, are published on their procurement website, and notifications are sent to registered businesses that are registered in the vendor database. Again, When you're talking about Montgomery County, so City of Rockville, one set of rules. Montgomery County government, another set of rules. State of Maryland, so be specific. Know who your customer is, and then drill into how do they want to receive your information. This is invaluable for those who participate in the minority female disadvantaged group in that program. If you are MBE certified, they're letting you know that for some of their procurements, you can actually see the subcontracting goal. So as you're reaching out to the different procurement officers, printing and mailing services for tax operations, maybe you're not ready to bite off the whole contract, but you're a certified minority and could fulfill a part of that contract, reserved in the local small business reserve program. Now, Montgomery County has their own local small business reserve program. So if you reside, if your business is located in Montgomery County, then that is a preference for you. So you want to find out about those certifications. These are just tools for your tool belt. You don't, for many procurements, you don't have to have to reside locally or be in these particular programs. However, as a small business, you want to use every tool that advantages you, that helps to level the playing field. And these are some of them. And again, the Minority, Female, and Disabled program, and they say MFD. We spell things out because it's an alphabet soup of programs and just in terms of acronyms, and it's good to know what the actual programs are. That way you can see if this is something that you're going to be able to take advantage of. Again, they also have their local small business reserve program. You've got the contact people here. I know I saw Alvin Boss out here today. I don't know if Michael Brown is here, but Alvin's here. Montgomery County has their table, so make sure you reach out to them if that's something you're interested in. Department of General Services, Office of State Procurement. Now, we spend, in the state of Maryland, the agencies, in terms of the spend, my colleague was talking about the amount of money that is spent in terms of overall programs. The Department of General Services, for you small business reserve companies, spent, let's see, how much was it? $24 million in the last fiscal year with small businesses. With minority businesses, spent about $30 million in the last fiscal year, just to give you an idea of the amount of money that is on the table. Also, with the Department of General Services, I should have mentioned, they are now through legislation and our, what is the best way? State procurement modernization, pardon me. State procurement modernization, my colleague talked about e-Maryland Marketplace Advantage. The goal of this administration has been to make procurement more transparent, more understandable, and easier and friendlier, in particular for small businesses. And one of those things has been, under the Department of General Services, is the creation of the Office of State Procurement. So General Services now becomes a control agency, a buyer for the Department of, well, I should say they have the authority for the Department of Budget and Management, Department of Information Technology, and the Department of Public Safety and Correction Services. What this will mean to you is that they are the authority for these programs, which means that the playing field is going to be more consistent in terms of how procurements are advertised, in terms of how they're broken apart, and with an emphasis on minority business enterprise goals, small business reserve, and veteran small businesses. And that's a lot of the companies here today. So, not going to get into the weeds of this, but this for sure, please pay attention. If you're talking about small procurements with the Office, Department of General Services, you want to make sure here they're letting us know, contact Kristen Irvin. She's the person that you want to contact, and Kristen's out here today somewhere. Wave, Kristen, if you're here. She might be out in the hall. I see you. Hey, Kristen, right over there in the maroon. That's important because you want to make sure that you are getting on Kristen's radar, which really is the Department of General Services, Office of State Procurement's radar. They do a lot of buying, they do a lot of outreach events where you can connect to other kind of procurement opportunities. This is not the only one, so please pay attention to that. Now we're talking about, this is the kind of information that's also helpful if you're a small business reserve company. This gives an example of the kind of procurement that they have. Guardrail installation. This particular procurement, and why this is important, I circled it, SBR only. If you are not certified as a small business reserve company, you can't bid on this. And there are more designated small business reserve procurements every day. The program increased from 10% to 15% about 2 years ago. The number of agencies also expanded, so there are more procurement opportunities every day in terms of the Small Business Reserve Program. Again, for those of you who don't know, how many of you are registered with the Small Business Reserve Program? Hands up. Okay. I think many more of you could be. If you're unsure about the program, please see me, Governor's Office of Small Minority and Women Business Affairs, before you leave, because we want to make sure that you know how to get certified. Carla Thompson is the liaison. She's the Minority Business Enterprise Liaison and the Small Business Reserve Liaison for the Department of General Services Office of State Procurement. Again, good to know. This is the person that you're going to send your capability statement to. You're going to email it to her if you make sure you make that introduction if you're interested in doing business, in particular for those larger procurements as it relates to small minority and women business. MDTA, and I'm going to speed this up. They're here today. There's their website. Small procurements and credit card purchases, the same thing. Just pay attention. I'm not going to get into the details of everyone because I know you guys want to get over to the procurements, but letting you know that this is here and it details how they want you to approach them. Now, this is a great one when it comes to MDTA. They're letting you know. And I've circled, there are MBE opportunities, VSBE opportunities that are in the pipeline right now, procurements that they're ready to take advantage of. So if you are a contractor, you're construction-related services, highway-related services, you want to make sure you go over to their table today, MDTA. Rehabilitation and installation of maintenance access features. They're doing Old Mountain Road directional bore on under 95. This is major work. This is good, very good money. Okay. Their Small Business Reserve Liaison and their Minority Business Enterprise Liaison. State Highway. Now, good to know about State Highway. Each district makes its own purchases when we're talking about $0 to $5,000. What they're letting you know is it's not done at the high level. This is done at the districts. Their agency is broken up into districts, so you're going to want to know the district. Here they're letting you know for Category 2, most procurements in this category are for goods bought on the Department of General Services statewide contracts. So DGS, Department of General Services, would have the overall advertisement. They can tell you what they're going to buy, but it's pulling from a larger contract. So what your goal is, how do you get on that statewide contract? Formal procurements. Now this is one, give you an idea, brush tree cutting in the Fairland section. They're saying it's a possible SBR. They don't have all of the information now. But this is where if you happen to do this kind of work and you're seeing this on the landscape, advocate that this contract be designated as a small business reserve. You have the power to do that. When you see something that's within the scope of work, I don't know if any of you happen to see the Board of Public Works. Maryland is, I think, the only state that does this. 3-person vote, all contracts over $200,000. It's the governor, the comptroller, and the state treasurer. And it's live streamed. It's like every other Wednesday. Google BPW, Board of Public Works, and you can see how contracts come through the state of Maryland that are over $200,000. Many times when the lieutenant governor is sitting in for the governor, he will see a contract that's for small business reserve or minority business enterprise or wasn't designated as such, and he will say, hey, why isn't there a minority goal on that? Why wasn't that carved out as a small business reserve? That would have been a good contract for a small business reserve company. So it lets you know there's a culture that is changing and that you can help to push that forward and create opportunities for yourself. Handle it like you would any other customer. Be professional, be friendly, be persistent, and know the rules. Minority Business Enterprise Liaison, they have 2 different ones. One is the MBE Liaison and one is the SBR Liaison. Allison Tavick mentioned on our website, gomdsmallbiz.maryland.gov, we do have the listing of all of the liaisons, Small Business Reserve and Minority Business Enterprise by agency. Sometimes one person wears both hats, and sometimes it's 2 different people. You should try to know the difference. You have to look at it. And it is helpful when you can reach directly out your Small Business Reserve company. You can reach out to that SBR liaison, tell them you've been looking at their website, and that you'd like to know more, okay? That you'd like for them to know you so that you can get on that direct solicitation list that they have. Department of Human Services, they're category 1, 2, and 3. Now here, whether it's category 1, 2, or 3, 5,000, 5 to 15,000, or 15 to 50, they're saying you should contact Tracy Gamble, and they've given you her email address. You see, they're each different. Formal procurements. Here's one, Carroll County DSS Janitorial Services. They're saying they're going to designate this as an SBR. You want to be on that landscape. Are there any janitorial companies out here today? Fantastic. So that's one that's potentially for you guys. And we've got Shonda Miller is out here today. Let's see, she's one of the Small Business Reserve liaisons, the Minority Business Enterprise liaison. I'm not sure if I don't think she's here today, but Shonda's here. Maryland Department of Labor. And what I wanted to tell you about labor, and this is on my part, labor, I didn't get their Small Business Reserve, their small procurement slides ahead of today, but please reach out to them because they do handle their small procurements in a special way, and their liaison, who's their Minority Business Enterprise liaison and Small Business Reserve liaison, Alan Robinson, is here today, and he can explain to you how they handle their small procurements. University of Maryland College Park is here today. Okay, a huge buyer. How much did College Park spend? Let me see, in the last fiscal year, was it 30-something million? Let's see, give me 1 second. Caught up with my numbers here. I'll get to it, but University of Maryland College Park is a small city. Okay, so they buy just about everything. And this is just an example of the small procurements that they buy. That probably would cover 2/3 of the people in the room today in terms of the kinds of things that they buy. Scientific equipment, website design, facility supplies, promotional items. But again, these are just the small procurements. When we get to the services that they buy, scientific services and equipment, research services and equipment, the state of Maryland has an enormous amount of consulting and service-oriented companies. So if this applies to you, great. If not, share with your friends. University of Maryland is a great customer. Current and pipeline opportunities, just an example. Agricultural research and education building. So this is going to mean they're looking at fiscal year 2020, 10.5 million. If they put either MBE goals on this or VSBE goals on this, this is an opportunity for you. So reach out. If it's something you can bite off, 10.5 million, okay, great. I don't think you're a small business anymore, but good luck if you're doing this. Their Minority Business Enterprise liaison, Yvette Williams, is over here today, and their Small Business Reserve liaison, James Newman. If he's not here, we provided the contact information for you. Maryland Stadium Authority, I think I saw Lisa Johnson here. So this is good to know. For contracts less than $10,000, competition is preferred but not required. Okay, so that already lets you know you want to get on that list where they're going to reach out based on the solicitation to see if you're available to do that work. For contracts between $10,000 and $50,000, competition shall be sought to the extent practicable. What's good to know is that means there's an opportunity for you to create that relationship and really let the buyers know who you are, what your business provides, and if you have references, please let them know this is a customer you're cultivating a relationship with. We've given you not only the liaison next, but also the procurement contacts, which is also good. Carmina Perez-Fowler, who's Assistant Vice President for Procurement Compliance, if you're having questions specifically about the projects development group, and the Maryland Stadium Authority Facilities, John Samornick. David Wraith, Minority Business Enterprise and Small Business Reserve Liaison, Maryland National Capital Park and Planning are out here today. They have been very specific about their small purchases, and I highlighted are exempt from competitive procurements. Okay, that means they're direct soliciting, and they're telling you that they encourage you to register on their website. An example, what is this? Professional land, use planning, real estate economic development services, and they've got a 10% goal. And this is for the MFD program. Contact information, state police. So Dirk Griffith over here. Yep, state police, again, buys a lot of things, and what they're telling you is register on Maryland Marketplace Advantage. Please take advantage of that. As my colleague said, make sure you fully fill out your scope of services, what you provide, because Dirk and the other buyers that are over there are going to do a look at are there any SBR companies or companies that have registered that can fulfill a certain scope of services. You will get overlooked if you have not filled out your profile. Public safety and corrections, again, big buyer. Their vendors are here, their liaisons are here. They can email you can email your contact information to their email address to put you on their vendors list. Again, different process. And I see Shawana Blackston, I did see her, and Anna Lansar are both here today, and BE liaisons and Small Business Reserve. And I think that I want to thank also all of our procurement partners, my colleague Eduardo Hayden, Montgomery County Public Schools, who I forgot, they're over here today. Raise your hand, Montgomery County Public Schools. Okay, we can't see, great. Montgomery County Office of Construction, and Montgomery College. I don't have their slide decks, but they have details on what they're prepared to purchase right now. And after I release this to my colleague Eduardo Hayden, I think we're about ready to get ready to go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for the patience. I know that we ran a little long with everything, but thank you for your patience. I'm not going to take really much longer. Just thank you again for coming out. We appreciate everybody. Make sure you connect, again, with the people in the room, the people that are at the tables there. This is just a list of the resource partners in addition to procurement partners, from Capital Bank, CMT Services, and I won't go over each one, but Small Business Development Center, the Women's Business Center. Please connect with Opportunity MDOT. They're working on the 495-270 project, right? So there's some procurement opportunities that are maybe available. Make sure you talk to them about that as well. So they're not just here as a resource partner, but they may have a way to get you to those opportunities. As well as the Montgomery County and their the County Business Solutions Group. So if we've got somebody from there, make sure you connect with them as well so that they can get you to your opportunities in the county. And with that, thank you, network, connect, and thank you for coming. All right.